Hey everyone, this is Brian from ActiveMelody.com. Well, we have a lot of material to cover in this week's lesson, but I'm excited about it because I think I've done a very thorough job in pulling together the content. And what I've done is I've taken a topic that comes up over and over again, and that's the topic of how do you find the key that a song is in. I know a lot of you are learning to improvise and learning to jam. Maybe you know your scales. But if you're in a jam session and everyone's just playing, you don't really know how to figure that out. Or if you're trying to play along with an album or something like that, you want to be able to find the key using your ear. And so that's what I'm going to show you in this video. I'm going to do the best job I can do to try and explain how to do that. Now there's 3 bonuses that come with this lesson as well for premium members. And they're pretty big. The first one is you'll be able to download 12, not 1, but 12 different jam tracks. What I've done is I've taken a 12-bar blues and I've recorded it in every key. So now you'll have a 12-bar blues in F sharp or D or C or whatever key you need. And it's a great way to practice the licks that you've been learning, and you'll have it, obviously you'll have it at your disposal. If you ever need a jam track to play in any key, you'll have that. So that's one thing. Another thing is there's going to be a little quiz on the Active Melody site. So this lesson number is EP160. So if you go to the lesson or go to ActiveMelody.com and look for that lesson number and you're logged in as a premium member, you'll be able to take the quiz. And basically what I've done is I've taken the 12 jam tracks and I've embedded them on the page, but I have not labeled them. So it's going to be up to you to try and play them. They're all mixed up. So you're going to play them and try and figure out what key they're in. And that'll be another great way to practice your ear. And the third thing is a lead, and we're going to take a look at that right now. But basically what I've done is I've got 6 notes out of the minor pentatonic scale and just narrowed it down to these 6 notes. But I wanted to take all of this stuff that we're learning and give you some tools so that you can start putting them in practice. And so that'll be another bonus that you'll get as a premium member, is to how to play this lead using these 6 notes. And then now that you'll know how to change keys, you can take this little lead and use it over any key. And obviously these are licks that you can steal and use in your own improvisation, or you know, if you're writing a song or whatever. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at that 6-note lead, and then we'll jump into the lesson. Alright, so let's talk about how you find the key that a song is in. And what's really cool about this is once you learn how to do this, once you learn this technique, you'll be able to play along with just about anything, any style of music, and even if you've never heard the song before, you'll be able to do it. I get together with a group of musicians every week here in Nashville, and a lot of times songwriters will come in and no one has heard the song, but the band just knows what to do. They instinctively know how to follow the songwriter and know what to play. And that's, to me, that's still magic every time that happens. And I've been doing this for a long time, but it really shows you the power of learning the language of music. It's just another language. And once you know how to do it, you can sit down with a group of musicians and have a conversation, and it's like the funnest thing ever. It's like secret code that only, a few people know how to do, and it's very fun. So, okay, so the first thing you want to do when you're trying to determine the key a song is in, whether you're in a jam session, playing along with a record or whatever, is just listen. Try and don't play along with it, don't noodle around, just listen to it, close your eyes, whatever you got to do to kind of get into it, immerse yourself, and just kind of determine if that song is minor or major. That's going to be your first goal. Is this a minor thing, meaning is it kind of sad? Not the lyrics, not the tempo. Those things are irrelevant, but the feel, the music, the vibe you get from the music, is it minor or is it major? Major is more positive, more enthusiastic. Minor has just that little bit of a sad feel to it. And like I said, it can be very up-tempo. and minor. But it's still minor. Minor is minor. It doesn't matter what the tempo is or what the lyrics are. A lot of times people make that mistake of just assuming, like you hear a 12-bar blues and you say, oh, it's minor, because it's blues, and blues is sad, and therefore it's minor. Well, that's not true. You can't think of it that way. So once you determine if it's major or minor, and by the way, some songs are both. Some songs have a minor verse and then a major chorus, and then you go back to a minor verse. So they can mix it up. But for the most part, generally speaking, a song's going to kind of have one feel or the other. But once you determine that, then you can start noodling and start figuring out what key the song is in. And the first thing you're going to want to do then is find home base. What is the one chord? What is the place that in this song that everything is trying to resolve back to? That once you can find that, you can really, it unlocks the whole thing, because then all your scales, the whole fretboard will light up to you in your mind, and you'll be able to just play along. But that's the little bit of detective work you got to play in the beginning, and this happens really quickly after you've been doing it for a while. You'll be able to just very quickly figure out where they are in the song and jump right in. But in the beginning, once you determine a song is major or minor, then you're going to want to figure out that home base. Let's take a listen to 12-bar blues. This is in major chords or major key, and we're going to play along, and I'm not going to tell you what key this is in, but I'm going to just verbalize my thought process as I try and noodle around and figure that out. Alright, so you can hear this 12-bar blues jam that's playing in the background. Now, if I were to ask you, is this major or minor? Some of you say, oh, it's definitely minor because it's blues, it's going to be sad. Well, it's really not. The chords that are being played are major chords, and I can just tell that just by listening to them. I can tell that the chords are positive. Even though it's got that kind of a sad twist to it, the chords, the structure of it, what the bass player is playing is major. If it were minor, it would sound like this. You hear the difference? So you can tell now that this is major. So now that and let's assume that I don't know the key that this is in. This is my thought process for that. So I think of just a major bar chord, and then I just go ahead and take the top 3 strings out of it just to simplify it. So it's, if we were playing an A, for example, I would bar the first 2 strings on the 5th fret, and then I'd put my middle finger on the 6th fret 3rd string. That's a major bar chord. What's nice about that, or that's just a major chord I should say, I can slide that chord up and down the neck of the guitar very easily. Just 3 notes, and you don't have a lot to deal with, not a lot of variables. So I'm going to use that to try and determine home base. Where is that root? Where does this whole thing resolve to? And the way that you can do that in the beginning, if you don't know, and you won't know in the beginning, is just as the song is playing, just noodle around until you can find that. You'll feel it kind of resolve. Let me show you what I mean. I'm just going to play. That would be an F. That's not it. So you hear that? There it is. So that would be an A. You can see, if I was an A sharp, it doesn't make sense. You can keep going up. Now, what'll throw you is, since there's 3 chords in this, there's the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. As you're noodling, you might stumble across another chord. Like, for example, if I were starting here. Oh, see, that's a match. I could hear it. And I matched on the 5 chord, but then as the song keeps going, I can see, well, it doesn't really resolve there. That's not really home base. So where's it going? It's not really there. And once I get to that A, and it may take you 10 minutes, I don't know, to keep messing around with this, to try and understand, where does this thing resolve? A song can start, and a lot of people make the mistake of assuming that whatever is the first chord of the song is the song that the key is in. That is true a lot of the times, but a lot of times a song will start on the 5 chord, in a blues even. So in that case, I started on the 5, which is an E7 or an E. So you can't always go with what it starts with, but where was it going? Like, what's the point of this? If it's a story, if music is a language, what is the point of this story? And the point of that story is that's where it's all going to, and you can feel it when it gets there. It's almost like a relief. And depending on how good your ear is, you'll be able to if your ear isn't as developed as others, and some are and some aren't, then it takes you a little longer to noodle around and find that resolve. But it's one of those things that the more you do of it, the more comfortable you get and the more you kind of get it, especially with blues. That's why blues is so popular in a jam format, because a lot of people get that. Once you start to get it, it won't matter what key you're in or any of that. You'll be able to resolve to it. So now that we figured out that this song is in the key of A, and you can see it's not A minor, it's A major. Now here's what's cool about a blues in a major key, or any song in a major key, but especially blues. As the musician, I can take this down 2 paths. So the band is playing, playing just the 1-4-5 right behind me, right? But as the musician, I can make it sound happy. Let me play along with it. See how happy that feels? It doesn't sound so sad. So that was playing major pentatonic scale. That's all I was doing. Now let me show you the minor pentatonic scale. We're going to switch gears now and make it sound more sad. Then go back to major. So the point in that is, as the lead musician, and this is true of the guitar, it's true of vocals, it's true of piano, whatever instrument you're playing, you can steer it. The band is just doing their thing, but you can make it sound very positive, or you can make it sound very down in the dumps, just depending on which scale you choose. And another little point is, you do not have to switch scales every time the chords change. A lot of people assume that, and you can, and that's a very cool technique, but in the beginning don't do it. Just play either minor pentatonic scale or major pentatonic scale, and it's the same scale. Minor pentatonic scale is the exact same thing. When you're playing the major, you're just going this way 3 frets. So wherever you started, if I started here, I'd go down 1, 2, 3. And then that becomes my major pentatonic scale. So it starts to become very easy. You can see, and I've got a video on where those 2 scales overlap and so forth. But that's the general rule of thumb when you're playing a major scale. Once you've determined where it is, and by just sliding that little chord shape up to try and to match it, then you can go minor or major pentatonic and get very different feels. Now, there's a difference though when we're talking about minor scale. So let me play for you a song that's a minor key, or a minor key, not scale. But when we're playing a minor key, you have to stay minor in your scales. Your scale will be, it could be the minor pentatonic scale, it can be the natural minor scale, and I'll explain the difference in those two in a minute. But you're going to be playing a minor scale. You cannot play a major scale or the major pentatonic scale if the song is a minor song. So for example, if you were taking a song like I Shot the Sheriff, which is it's just minor, all minor chords. I could not play a major scale there. It wouldn't make sense. So what you can do is play that natural minor scale, or the minor pentatonic scale, and it'll sound great. So that's the one limitation if the song is a minor key. So the next thing we're going to do is we got to figure out where home base is for a minor song. And I'm going to play along with one here in a minute. But I use the same exact technique that I use to determine a major key. The only difference is this time I'm going to use a minor chord. So remember the first time through, we had this little major chord shape, these three notes here. This time we're just going to bar the first three strings on the fretboard, and that becomes a minor chord. So that's a G minor, for example. That's an A minor. And all I'm doing, if you think of it like there's your full A minor bar chord, I'm just playing the top three notes out of it. So if that's an A minor, that's an A major. I just added my middle finger back. That was the first chord we started with. Now we're going to be using this one. So same technique. I'm going to play along and I'm going to try and find that home base, or where everything resolves to in this song. So I'm just going to slide around until I can find it. See right there, you can just tell it felt like it fell into place. So if I know that this is where everything's resolving, the next chord would be up here. There it is. And then there's the turnaround chord, which is a major chord, or so I use it like a seventh chord. So you can see that in this minor song, there's a major chord. This is a good example where it's and it's actually not starting on the 1. It's starting here on the 4, and then going to the 1. And then there's your turnaround. But every time it's trying to pull you back to this. So even though it comes up here, that's where it resolves. See, there's tension, and then there's resolve. So kind of work with that. Now here's what I mean when I say you can only play a lead in the minor pentatonic scale, or the natural minor scale for this. So I'm just kind of noodling around now in minor, but if I were to take, this is an F sharp minor, if I were to play an F sharp major, it just doesn't work at all. You can tell right away. That would be me trying to introduce a positive feel to it. No, it doesn't matter where the chords are, that's never going to work. So you're going to have to stick to, in a minor song, you're going to have to stick to the natural minor scale or the minor pentatonic scale. Now what is the natural minor scale? Some of you may not know what that is. The minor pentatonic scale, I hope you know that one by now. If you don't, just check out the blues lead course. I have that at activemelody.com, and I go through the 5 different patterns of that. But the natural minor scale is the minor pentatonic scale. But we're going to add 2 extra notes. So for pattern 1, for example, most of you know this for the minor pentatonic scale. If we added that note, there's one of your 2. And then there's your other one. So, and you keep adding those same 2 notes as you walk down. There it is again. There it is again. So that's how you think about it. You're just adding this note and this note to the minor pentatonic scale, and that just gives you 2 extra variables. Now you don't have to play the natural minor scale. You can play just the minor pentatonic scale and it'll be awesome. You can just solo all over the neck. But the one thing you can't do is you can't play any major scale licks if the song is in a minor key. If it's in a major key, you can play either or. You can play either minor pentatonic licks or major, but if it's minor, you have to stick within the minor scale. So hopefully that makes sense and maybe clears some of this up for you. Now, if you're a premium member and you want to move on to the lesson, what I've got is I've got that same jam track that I was working with, and I will tell you it's major, so it's going to be the same one, it's just in different keys. But what I want you to do is watch the next video where I'm going to show you how to play that lead. We're going to take 6 notes out of the minor pentatonic scale, and the entire lead comes from just those 6 notes. So I'm going to first show you how to play that, but then I'd like for you to take that and start working that into different keys. And so you can take those same licks. Now, if you don't want to learn that solo, you don't have to. You can play any lead that you want. But do try and go through the different, push play on the different embedded audio players that are randomly, they're mixed, and see if you can figure out which key each of them are in. If you can, that's awesome. You've really started to unlock this whole thing. And then your next step would be to put on your favorite album. And if it's something you've never played with, try and play along with it. Try and figure out the key that it's in. And even if you can't contribute musically, if you can figure out the key, you're halfway there. So I hope that's helped answer some of your questions on how to find the key that a song is in. There is a fair amount of noodling, kind of going, messing around with the neck and trying to figure out, is it major, is it minor, where does it resolve to? That's going to be mysterious to some of you in the beginning, but a lot of songs, and that's why I like to kind of stick to the blues. That'd be a great way to start this. Listen to a B.B. King album or Albert King or something like that, and just stick to something that's very formulaic. It makes it much easier to at least start to get the vibe of how to do it, how to find the key, and then you can start jumping into something a little more advanced. But most of the songs that you like, whether it be an Eagles song or Beatles or the Allman Brothers or whatever, they all have that same thing where there's that home base. You got to find home base. Where is this thing resolving to, and is it major or minor? It really comes down to that. Hope that helps.